He's just an awesome dude. But let's move on to the next story, which is Russia and Trump doing strange things.
So,
Old
shirt.
President Donald J. Trump. Oh, wow.
So Chris just removed his jumper and revealed Putin on the Iron Throne.
Yeah, it's a Game of Thrones t-shirt with Putin on it. What does it say underneath it?
Putin.
Victory or oblivion?
Oblivion.
My dad went to Russia and he bought me this t-shirt.
Wow. That's
Got him.
And
pretty
he
great.
thought it was hilarious.
Thanks, Dad.
Is that what people are wearing in Russia these
I
days?
don't know.
Anyway,
Not the ones who aren't in prison.
Donald Trump.
Well, I hear the World Cup went really well. It might have even been the best World Cup ever.
Possibly.
Trump said that like 10
It
times.
is.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh. That was
He
a-
kept saying
Wasn't
that.
That was
It's
a really
so
weird way to
Wasn't
say
sure
that.
why
Yeah,
you were
on
saying
that,
that.
did you see Pussy Riot run onto the into the field?
Sure did.
I need some context for what that means.
Quick, look
What?
up Pussy.
I actually know what
They're like a punk band, like
Yeah,
But
they're a
diverse.
protest band.
Yeah.
They've been in trouble before. Yeah.
so the people who stormed the pitch, if you didn't know, were members of Pussy Riot on the World Cup final.
the band.
it really
In the activists.
Gotta stop saying that.
So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And
Anyway.
they're now in a gulag for the rest of their lives.
Anyway.
You'd think that, but the last time they got in trouble as well, they got out.
Yeah,
I think he lets them out because they're like girls. Anyway,
don't know.
because the men who tend to do things like that get shot in. Anyway, Donald Trump, he's been on a trip to Europe. So last week he had like a NATO meeting. He visited the UK. You might have seen him walking in front of the Queen, which you're not supposed to do. They do this traditional thing where she inspects her honor guard. And traditionally, the Queen walks in front of the guests as they walk along because she's leading them and she's the Queen. And he kind of just wandered in front of her. And then the Queen had to do this sort of sidestep. And there's a great shot where like you can't see the Queen anymore because it's just Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And then she like pokes her head out either side and then tries to walk around him to get back in front.
It had to be
It's
intentional.
amazing.
Eh? He's so that kind of person.
Well, speaking of intentional, people were looking at the brooch that the Queen wore. So it's like a little jewelry piece that goes on her chest. And
Certified on it.
no, it had been given to him by the Obamas. It was a present
I
from
didn't-
them, I think. So
Oh.
it was interesting. People were like, is she casting shade? Also, like none of the other royals were there
Yep.
when the Trumps were visiting. When usually like Prince Philip or Prince William or Prince Charles would have been there. But there was no one. So it was interesting. And there was like 100,000 people protesting or something out in London, and they had the big Trump baby.
Trump baby.
Anyway,
Oh, did it
Then-
actually fly?
Of course.
Yeah.
I was like there. I don't know if it was flying.
Not very high.
Because they couldn't
Yeah.
get approval, right? That was the
I
I
think
think
they
they got
got
approval.
approval.
It just probably wasn't meant. It was like a Macy's Day Parade type thing, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't go like that high in the sky.
Mm.
Anyway,
Anyway.
after that, he goes to NATO. Now he's having some like friction with NATO, which is like France, Germany. That's like most of Western Europe, and it's starting. You're getting new members coming in from Eastern Europe, so towards Russia. Russia sees NATO as like has always seen NATO as like sort of a fence around them. It's basically the walls shrinking in. That's what NATO is. Because all the NATO allies have a mutual defense pact, and it basically, if you're part of NATO, you're aligned pretty strongly with the West and not with Russia. And now these countries that used to be part of the Soviet Union, that's basically Russia's sphere of influence. It's all the countries that used to be part of the Russian Empire when it was like at its maximum. They're starting to move towards NATO. So Ukraine, Estonia, Latvia, Albania, and recently Montenegro. So anyway, Donald Trump is there. They have this thing in NATO where they're supposed to all pledge to spend 2% of their GDP on their defense budgets. So it's like saying, okay, our GDP, like a gross domestic product of our economy, our economy is this big. 2% of that, we got to spend that on our military. So because it's a military alliance, the idea is that if anything happens to any of the countries, all the other ones will step in and defend them.
Yep.
But a lot of those countries in Europe haven't been meeting that target of 2%. It's also been like very tough economically, and they probably do over rely on America just being there, which in the past has been pretty reliable.
Yep.
Like America has a lot of military bases in Europe and
And
stuff.
like spending money on military.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, traditionally, but now Donald Trump's like definitely shifted away from that. So since the start of his presidency, he's saying NATO's ripping us off. I don't get the point of it anymore. Like, why don't we just be friends with Russia? We don't need NATO. Basically scaring everyone into spending more on their military. I kind of see where they're coming from because, like, America spends a lot of money on their military. And if you have all these other countries in the alliance not spending money, that's like an extra burden on America to defend them. But again, you have to remember this mutual defense pact has only been invoked once in the history of NATO, and that was after September 11th. And it was NATO allies who came with America to Afghanistan.
Yep.
So NATO soldiers have died on behalf of America, but American soldiers have never died on behalf of anyone else.
Yep.
So it's very important to remember that as context for when Donald Trump is going off at NATO. It's like, you guys are the only ones who have ever like
done anything. Really.
Yeah. But anyway, in that context, Trump finishes his NATO talks. He's basically he's playing hardball. He's trying to get them to spend more money on their military. Like, you give him the due of, like, it's scary when he says that he doesn't get what NATO's about. I think the rest of the government in America does understand what NATO's about. I think he's just using scare tactics to get them to up their military budget.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be like, oh, Trump's the worst and he's an idiot.
Yeah.
I get what he's trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, like, whatever. Anyway, goes to Helsinki, which is capital of Finland, has a meeting with President Putin over there, old Iron Throne.
Older. Yeah. There he is.
Yeah. Now, President Putin hasn't won like a fair election probably ever.
He's an autocrat.
He's essentially an autocrat at this point. They don't have a democracy because he puts opposition leaders in jail or they get killed. So,
how long's it been?
he's probably been in charge of Russia for nearly 20 years now. Boris Yeltsin was the last person who was not him.
Was there any constitution to say terms, or has that been ripped up essentially?
He did a thing where he became prime minister for a while,
Yeah,
and another guy was president, but then he's back to being president.
Yeah, just kind of switched.
But he was always in charge, basically. So I'm not sure if that was in line with their constitution. Like, at this point, he's probably going to be in charge forever. But if that's what, like, the Russian people want, then whatever.
But I guess there's no real opposition. There's no one who really opposes it or runs against him.
There is an opposition. They just get arrested.
Yeah.
So the last election, the only people who ran against him were parties that were allied with him.
Yeah.
So they had them just like go from being allies and went, oh, you got to run because we have to have multiple candidates. But they were all pro-Putin.
Yeah.
So imagine if Hillary was pro-Trump during the election. That's the kind of election they have.
It's frightening.
Yeah, it's like South Park. Anyway, the reason... Okay, right now American-Russia relations are really low because Russia's done a bunch of stuff that has gotten them in trouble. So, going back in time, they poisoned that dude and his daughter in London.
Not cool.
Yeah, not cool. Before that, they got in trouble for the election hacking stuff, which all of the intelligence agencies agreed the Russians tried to hack their election, either directly through voting booths or indirectly through influencing the voters directly.
And hacking the Democratic emails.
Yes, and hacking the Democratic emails after Donald Trump asked them to do that.
That had nothing to do with the Analytica stuff and Facebook influencing, right? Those are two separate things, right?
The Analytica stuff might have been used in conjunction to target the ads, but I think the Russians were making the propaganda that was getting spread around.
Right.
It's really hard to... It's very muddy. Anyway, but there were some direct attempts to influence the election. Like, that's according to the CIA, FBI, the Justice Department, which is run by people Trump put in charge, a bunch of congressional, like, Senate groups and stuff. They've all agreed. And the Justice Department just indicted 12 Russians for hacking the election. Which basically means they're saying, we have enough evidence to prosecute this. We think we have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, so we're going to take... They're in Russia, so they can't take them to court, but they'll try and extradite them to do that.
Does it make it okay that... So, have we gotten to the part where he's saying Russia's okay? Have you said that yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
So he had a 2-hour meeting with Putin where he didn't have anyone else except their interpreters. Freak, I would love to know what that interpreter heard. Everyone basically thinks that Putin has something on Trump. And it's funny so they have a press conference afterwards, and these are the kind of questions that people are asking. It's like someone asked Putin, "Do you have anything on Trump?" And he's basically saying it's preposterous, the idea that they would go to the effort of finding stuff on all these candidates, and everyone's thinking, no, that's not preposterous at all. That sounds like something you definitely do.
I think he used the term like of every businessman who came to America to Russia, and I was like, this sounds like a threat.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like you're denying it.
Yeah, nah.
I didn't get the tone obviously because I'm reading the words, but
I think it's no. But half the stuff he says is basically saying, yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we definitely do. He gave Trump a soccer ball as a present as well, which is very funny because Trump kind of took it and then tossed it to Melania.
Give it to their
probably the least.
I'm going to see if I can find it. Keep talking. But it's funny how awkward their arms are.
Another point on that, it's funny. So Putin was on the stage to give out the World Cup medals. And firstly, it was pouring down rain, and they had the French president there and the Croatian president. And they're getting belted, and he's the only one under an umbrella. And then there's also footage of his aide behind her, what looks like she's pocketing one of the medals when they're giving them out. So...
that's interesting. Anyway, the question comes up whether, someone asks Trump whether he believes his Justice Department and his intelligence agencies when they say that Russia hacked their election, and Trump basically says, Putin is. All I can do is ask the question. These guys came and said this to me, Dan Coates, head of the Justice Department or whatever. But I've asked Trump. I've asked Putin, and Putin has denied it strongly. He's very strongly. How do you say it? He says it in a ridiculous way.
Like a double negative or something.
So then later he's like, I have no reason to believe that it would be Russia.
Yep.
That's the key sentence. But that's one sentence in a whole paragraph of him saying he believes Putin when Putin says that it's not them.
Yeah.
It's interesting reading the transcript of it. I was reading the transcript of it because basically, Putin he's English language, second language. This is through a translator. His English sounds better than Trump's.
Yeah.
He sounds like he has a way better grasp of the English language. But, after he's denied this, everyone in America basically went nuts because they were like, everyone in the political sphere, I'm sure Trump supporters still love him.
Yeah.
But everyone, even Republicans were like, he just sold out. Our own intelligence agencies basically said he believes the Russian president when the Russian president says that Russia didn't hack the election to benefit him, those are the two people who are least trustworthy about this because Trump's really insecure because he thinks it's an attack on the idea that he won the election fairly.
Yeah.
So he goes back to Hillary Clinton ran a terrible campaign. We beat him fair and square. That's what he mentions this in this whole interview thingy,
which is just avoiding the questions, right?
It is, but it also points to his insecurity at the fact that he doesn't feel like his election win is legitimate, and he's always trying to justify it.
Yeah.
And he thinks that this Russia probe is an attack on the validity of his victory. So when Republicans come out attacking the probe, or not attacking the probe, when the Republicans come out saying, okay, we believe the Justice Department that the Russians tried to hack it, they have to say basically, we think they tried to hack it, but it wasn't the reason that Trump won.
Yeah.
That the fact that the Russians hacked it. He got in trouble from everyone. He tweeted after it, he's said, this is a tweet the next morning after the press conference. It was, so many people at the higher ends of intelligence loved my press conference performance in Helsinki. Putin and I discussed many important subjects at our earlier meeting. We got along well, which truly bothered many haters who wanted to see a boxing match. Big results will come. I get where the argument is that okay, they should be friends because that's better for the world, right?
Yeah.
Why would you want Russia and
That's
America to be at odds?
Just thinking.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's just like North Korea and stuff. The problem I have with that is exactly making Hitler parallels is always bad territory.
Yeah.
But it is exactly the strategy that everyone had in the 30s towards Germany.
Yeah, why is that a good thing? Is it simply because of the nukes?
Because just on the face of it, the idea of people talking
Being nice to each other
is good.
Better than war.
But if we're just being nice to people who are doing horrible things, that's not nice at all.
No, because then they just keep
Think
doing
you're onto
horrible
something,
things,
Yeah.
which is exactly what Nazi Germany did.
Yeah.
So there was a whole sequence of things. The policy was called appeasement. The problem, like, the parallels with the 30s and right now is really scary because of like the whole Western world moved to the right. Like fascists came up, autocrats, as a response to like the communists, and just everything devolved. And then you had this one autocrat in Germany, and he was sort of pushing the boundaries basically after the World War One, the Treaty of Versailles. They were getting stuffed. Basically, he starts pushing the boundaries. This is similar to Russia because the Soviet Union's collapsed. He's sort of thinking that the world's a bit unfairly stacked against them at the moment.
Yep.
All these people are joining NATO. No one's trading with us.
Yeah.
We're going to start pushing the boundaries. So you invade Ukraine.
Yep.
You invade part of Georgia.
Take Crimea back.
Yeah, take Crimea back. You start scaring people like the countries around you, and you start doing
Flexing
trade
their
stuff.
muscles.
Yeah, you flex your muscles, and you see where the pushback is going to come from.
Yeah.
And when you have someone in charge in one of the other major world powers, because Britain was the equivalent back then, and Britain did this appeasement thing where they're like, "Oh, we'd rather have peace than start a problem. Like, we don't want to go to war." Like, obviously, no one wants a war between America and Russia, but there's sort of you need to push back, otherwise they'll keep going.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't stop someone from doing something bad, they'll keep going. And then Trump had this really scary interview on Fox the day after, or 2 days later, where he was talking about the Fox hosts, because I'm pretty sure Trump just gets them to ask the right questions so he can say whatever talking point he's going for. So the Fox host says, okay, Montenegro just joined NATO. If Montenegro, it's a tiny country next to Croatia? No.
Yeah.
It's right next
Europe
to next to Greece. It's like right there on the coast. Anyway, if Montenegro gets invaded by Russia, why should my son go and fight there?
Yeah.
And Donald Trump's like, yeah, well, exactly. That's what I've been saying. Like, why should we? Why should we have to? And then he's like, and then the Fox host is like, obviously nothing against Montenegro. Like, they could be anyone or Albania. But then Donald Trump's like, no, the Montenegrins, yeah, of course, they're great people. They're strong people, fiery people. They could easily get into a war with Russia.
Yeah, they got the same.
Yeah,
kind of
he
wealth,
basically says that they're like very jumpy and could easily, like, it's a likely scenario that they'll end up at war with Russia, and then why should we defend them? But again, remembering that America is the only ones who have ever invoked that clause in NATO.
So, but there's a big difference between why should we defend them and why shouldn't we be friends with the person who's invading them? If that makes sense.
Yeah, but he's kind of doing both.
Yeah.
He's saying we shouldn't defend them and we should be friends with the people who would have invaded them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would happen if Trump here said, instead of, Russia and America, we're great friends, we get along, if he said, hey, Russia's been doing some bad stuff and I'm interested in you guys not invading anyone else?
There's definitely ways he could have said it better, but I guess he was backed into a corner because he's right there next to Putin, and the guys asked him, do you believe Putin or do you believe your intelligence agency? So he's basically being asked to tell the guy he's with that he's a liar.
That's life,
well,
isn't it?
I think if you're going to do these press conferences, you have to expect that question.
His job.
And it's not the first time Trump has given a crap answer to a question.
Yeah.
Like, he could have just done a Trump and changed the subject and started talking about how awesome he is again.
Yeah, which I think he tried to.
I think he moved it towards that way.
Yeah. But the next day he came out, that key sentence you said.
Yes, so the next day he came out because he realized everyone was saying he was a traitor. People were saying he was a traitor, and that was Republican people. Like, it was really strong language saying he committed treason. He technically hasn't committed treason because they're not at war with Russia, and that's a requirement for that particular
There's a
crime.
pretty deep-seated historical, and especially with, I imagine, I don't want to generalize, but Trump kind of old-school people of, like, a fear of Russia and, like...
Yeah, well, like, most of his national security advisors are super, like, hawkish. They're, like, John Bolton is the guy with the big walrus mustache. He's a massive like war hawk. He's like the guy who wanted us to go to war in Iraq. And
What is hawk?
hawk is someone who's pro-war.
Right.
It's very aggressive foreign policy.
Mm.
Yeah, so he has a lot of like. I don't think anyone in his administration or even politicians on the Republican side like anything that he did here. The politicians are too scared to ever show a spine because they think they won't win their primary election if they stand up to Trump.
Yep.
And the people who actually directly work for him will just get fired if they go too far.
Yep.
So I think they all think that their best chance of influencing what happens is to sort of stay quiet and work in the background.
Stick around.
Which is scary because it means he can do whatever he wants and no one's going to hold him accountable to it.
Yeah.
Putin also made a comment during this press conference that like he was basically saying, what gave you the impression that we trust each other? We don't trust each other. We believe in facts, not rumors. Like he was like even saying like he sounds so much more reasonable than Trump did. Trump is busy trying to kiss his butt and Putin's basically saying what Trump should be saying.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like
Well, we believe in facts.
yeah, we're like you don't have to go you're a liar. You don't have to turn and say you're a liar.
Yeah.
But then you could have been like, oh, there's obviously stuff we need to work through here. There's some things that we don't find acceptable about Russia, what with Russia's done, but we think it's better that we're talking than we're not talking.
But
Would have been easy.
But while he's there, to his face, he said, "No, there's no reason you would do this."
Yeah.
And then the next day, from his bed, he says, "Oh no."
Yeah, the next day he says, oh, I said would, but I should have said wouldn't. But it fixed one sentence in a whole paragraph that basically meant the exact opposite.
Yeah,
It doesn't like no one. Surely no one
bought that.
bought that.
To me,
right?
what was super weird was like all the facts. Yeah, but to me, what was super weird was seeing this guy, the brutish, like belligerent man who just makes things up all the time and just creates his own facts and accuses everything that disagrees as fake news, like squirm to fit under someone else.
Yeah, he's
That
supposed
was
to be
it was
this
so weird.
hard negotiator,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
badass.
said he was going to be tough. Tough on
Anyway.
Russia. Tough, way tougher than Hillary Clinton would have been.
Yeah, so I can imagine all his supporters are going, "What are you doing?"
Nah, his supporters
Perhaps
are
not.
pretty pro. I've seen a lot of comments from pro-Trump people that are basically along the lines of, why shouldn't we be friends with Russia? That's the
Right.
sort of thing they
It's the narrative
believe
that's
in.
going.
They also don't trust the CIA and FBI.
Yeah.
Because they think it's part of a deep state conspiracy to undermine Trump.
Of course.
So there's a lot of just like don't expect anything from the Trump base. Basically, is the rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except the ones calling him traitor.
Those aren't his base. Those are politicians.
Right.
The politicians understand, but they know they have to play the game because it's Trump's base who are going to come out and vote in the primaries.
Yeah.
So even if they're in a seat where they know the Republican candidate will win, they don't think they will be the candidate because they have an election before the election to determine who's going to be the candidate.
Yeah.
So many elections.
So
Yeah, they have a double election.
Crazy.
Anyway,
It's not compulsory there though.
No, well, none of it is.
while we're in America,
Yeah. Well, crazy.
It is crazy. Crazy world.
Crazy news.
I think everyone's thinking, oh, I guess we can't rely on America anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing. Because
It's-
there had to be a point where you couldn't.
But if this was like another president who hasn't had so much controversy around that, this would probably kill him. But Trump, it's just, I don't know, he just seems to double down and...
It'll be really interesting in 6 years when someone else is president, whether they can fix any of this
Yeah.
or whether it'll just be too far gone. It's a long time. I don't think there'll be a recovery for America anyway.
who is America?
Who is America?
This is America.
Who,
Uncle Sam?
who is America?
Not me.
That's a new TV show. Also, just a good question,